Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Pillow Talk on the Carl and Jacquees Show.
I'm Carl,
And I'm Jacquees.
and we're very happy to see you guys back once again.
And tonight we have questions. What are we talking about tonight, Carl?
Tonight, we're talking about making your spouse or other person, partner, feel safe. And we have a few questions for you all. First question is, do you feel safe to share information or even ask your significant other questions? What's the other question we have?
Do you feel like you make your spouse feel safe in communicating? Can they tell you anything? Can they ask you any question? Can they be completely vulnerable in front of you without you making them feel uncomfortable, sad, angry, rejected, isolated?
Feel devalued, like their opinion doesn't matter or their feelings don't matter. You can make people feel like you don't care or they're not worthy of being cared for. Even though all of these things may not be true, that means nothing to that person's feelings because the way they feel and how you think you're treating them may not be on the same page. And so that's why we have to be very conscious about how we interact with those that we love.
That's very true. If I have something that's challenging that I have to tell Carl, and I muster up the courage to go and talk to him about it, and the first thing he does is, starts yelling and, screaming and throwing things, running out the room or leaving the house or anything like that.
Ah!
Exactly. Jump all the way out the window. It's going to make me hesitate in telling him anything remotely close to that anymore. It's going to cause that magic word, a wall, to go up. Yep. And it's going to go up really fast. And it's really easy for it to go up, and it is very difficult to tear it down. You do not want to find yourself in a situation like that. Wouldn't you agree?
I absolutely agree. I have receipts. Okay? Men spend their whole lives, prior to marriage, I'll at least say, breaking walls down. We try to break down the apprehensive wall in the beginning of the relationship to get the person that they're trying to engage with to be engaged. We try to get that wall down of, I don't trust you. I have to protect myself when I'm around you. Or the, will you be who I need you to be? So we're constantly trying to break walls down. And then when you get in a relationship and you get started as young as we did, you're still immature. I know I was still immature. And because of that, I didn't know all the right things. I made a lot of mistakes. And sometimes people believe that when you raise your voice, that's who's winning the argument. As if anybody truly ever wins in an argument. If you're arguing, you're both losing. Am I right?
True.
And so in that situation, I've had to make those kind of mistakes and then try to gain her trust back again to say, hey, don't worry about it. This issue that you have that I blew up about last time, come on, tell me about it again. And she's like, I'm not telling you anything. Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
Right. I don't want to inflict pain on myself. I'm not doing that.
Emotional pain, of course.
Of course. That goes without saying.
Facts.
No need to,
Yo, you are such a gangster. You gotta chill. You gotta chill.
Maybe.
Oh my God, I love you. I'm sorry. So anyways, and back to the conversation. She's like smiling at me. I can't help myself. Excuse me. So, anyways, we were talking about making safety, right? So, safety doesn't always have to be physical. It can be emotional. It can be mental. You can put anguish on the other person. So, I've spoken enough, about being the person doing the damage or creating the damage. And being the person who did that and have done it in the past, I've learned from it and are still learning because there are certain things that Jacquees may bring to me and I may not respond in the best way. And I'm still working on it. There's certain subject matters that are like buzzwords, right? Where it's like when I hear that, I don't care what you say, it's going up. You know, like everybody has those subject matters where it's like when you say that one word surrounded by all the right words,
and every piece of hair on your body stands up straight.
Yes. You know, so it's okay. I won't say it's healthy to have these kind of interactions, but it's not always about what you go through. It's about how you come out of it. How fast you mend the fence and truly resolve the issue. You are going to have issues. You are going to fight. You are going to offend one another. But utilizing the tools that we've acquired that's allowed us to go through the fight, go through the foolishness, and then come back and relax.
Right.
And it comes back to respect, love, and things of that nature.
That's true. You may go through a lot of different emotions in that situation. It may start here, and then it escalate, and then it escalate, and then there's tears, and then there's, like he said, anguish and frustration and people mad, and then you have to like take a walk, and then you bring it all the way back down, and then everybody come back to an even playing field with calm minds, okay, and they're able to really actually have a logical conversation about the situation and see the other person's point of view and put themselves in the other person's shoes so that we can come to a peaceful resolve, because that's what it's really all about. You don't want to leave that conversation feeling like you have not been heard, and you don't want to leave your spouse feeling like they haven't been heard either. Everybody's emotions are important in the equation. So it is very important that when you're communicating with your spouse, that you don't do those things that will make them feel rejected and isolated and get them angry. You don't intentionally say things that you know is going to get them upset and cause them to respond a certain way. Don't antagonize the situation. You should not have any malicious intent as it relates to your spouse. Go, be humble, and be vulnerable, and share, and ask questions. And be ready to receive what the answers are to those questions, because that's another part of this whole communicating safely in a relationship. If you ask your spouse a question, please be prepared for their answer, because it may not be something that you want to hear. It may not be something that you like hearing. But guess what? It may be true, and you have to be able to receive that and be ready to act and do something about it.
That's right. And also, you got to remember that you have to, in those situations, fight fair or communicate fairly. There are going to be situations where you don't agree and you're going to argue. Let's just get that out the way. It's going to happen. However, just because it's going to happen doesn't mean you have to burn the whole relationship down and blow your life up. This happens all too often. And it's a lot of these little situations that just add up. And then people become historians. And they're like, well, the last time we had this conversation, you did this. And the last 3 times you did that. And it gets to the point where it's like, you know, and I don't even want to talk to you. And this is the same person you profess your love to in front of a bunch of strangers and people you love.
Or someone that you plan to do that with.
Yes, or someone that you have, that you're trying to build that kind of relationship towards with. And so I want to make sure that we focus on the making you feel safe portion, because this subject matter can go a lot of different directions, especially when we're talking about fighting and trying to come back together and things of that nature. We're talking about feeling safe. And so, a tool that I want to share with you, right? We call it coming out of Carl and Jack Quiz's tool bag. The tool I want to share with is using that verbiage. I want to share something with you, but I'm not sure if I feel safe to share this with you, because when I bring up this particular subject matter, you get angry and you do things that make me not want to communicate with you. And the person you're speaking to, your partner, is going to receive that very well. And they're going to say something along the lines of, well, what are these things that I do, if they don't already know, that make you feel unsafe, make you feel uncomfortable in bringing this issue to me? And then you'll say, well, you slam the table, or you slam the doors, or you hit the walls, and you raise your voice, and you scream at me, and you're supposed to love me. And that's when that wall will come down. And then you talk about it. So then when you bring that issue to them, if they start to do it again, because it may happen again, in the back of their mind, they're going to be thinking, this person I love doesn't feel safe to talk to me, and I'm not helping with that. And so that's going to start to turn that franchise around.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
None of the things that we're saying are easy. We're just saying that they are a lot easier with the tools and with intention. If you are intending, or if you're doing it with, what's the word?
Intention. You're right on. You're
Okay.
spot on.
Nice. Oh.
If you're intentional about what you're trying to
intentional,
accomplish.
that was the verb tense I was looking for. The action. Yeah. So if you're being intentional about what you're doing with your spouse or for your spouse, then it's gonna work. It's gonna work together. So that's the vow that I'm asking I don't like to use victim and offender in these situations, but the person that doesn't feel safe, mm-hmm. What would you call that person? The victim?
The victim.
Okay, so the victim in this situation. All right, we want to leave you with this. After watching this video, I suggest that you have a real conversation with your significant other, right? You need to sit down and ask them a few questions. The first question that I would recommend that you ask would be, do I make you feel unsafe and to communicate and be vulnerable about certain situations? That's the first question I would recommend that you ask.
Then you might want to ask them, in what areas is it that I make you feel unsafe to communicate with me? And not only do I want to know what areas make you feel unsafe, but what exactly is it that I'm doing in those moments to make you feel that way? That's also a very important question.
That's a great question. I agree. And then the best question after that will be, what can I do to fix it? How can I make this change so that we can move forward?
Let us know in the comments how you feel about this episode. Let us know if you have any specific situation that you want to share. We would love to hear about it. Don't forget to send us your topics also. But most of all, we want to know how you feel about this subject matter tonight. What are your thoughts on it? What do you agree with, disagree with? What situations have you found yourself in on this subject? Let us know. Let's talk about it. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, God loves you. So love yourself first so that you can effectively love someone else.
Enjoy yourselves.